Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Amanda Gold. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time, and if not, hello again. Today is Saturday and I'm speaking on a theme, and last week I think I was talking like that was the last Saturday in May, but no, we have one more. So I was kind of thinking like, what do I want to talk about this week? We had been talking about rejection. So I do a theme every month, and every Saturday I talk on that theme. And I felt like I had it all tied up pretty nice. And I thought about just skipping today or just going on to June's theme or just pulling something out of my ass else to say about rejection. I mean, there's plenty we could say about it. But I decided to come at you today with one more thing that I wanted to talk about that relates to rejection. And this is about something that I'm rejecting. So the previous videos have been a lot about the feeling of rejection and how to deal with that and how to think about it. And this one is about me rejecting diet culture and diet mentality. And I feel kind of nervous talking to you about it because I don't feel like an expert. And I still feel very much, first of all, that I'm still learning a lot about it and the politics around it and what it means to like cleanse my mind of that oppression that we exist within in this culture that values thinness and a certain kind of body ideal and a certain kind of beauty. And I also still feel very raw as my own struggles with that are still very, I don't feel like perfectly healed from that stuff by any means. So I definitely don't want to come at this from a place of like, I've figured it all out and so follow me and I can help you with your body image issues. It's not like that. But I did think there might be some value in just one person who struggles with it and has some victories with it and is still learning a lot about it, just kind of sharing that in an authentic and vulnerable way, and which naturally is going to be imperfect. And certainly I could talk about it. It deserves more than just like a quick Saturday video's worth. But I guess I just wanted to come here and say, as it relates to rejection, I wanted to just kind of rededicate myself in front of all of you all to rejecting diet culture. And now I'm sticking to that, even though I had a pretty rough experience this morning and I kind of relapsed in my thinking around that in a way, or I was at risk of that. So here's what I'm talking about. I have been on some kind of diet or at war with food or at war with my body for as long as I can remember it. And I didn't actually think of myself as dieting, but through my work in this, through what I'm learning about in this field, I'm learning that a lot of this stuff I was doing with food actually was a diet. It was me thinking that my weight wasn't acceptable and I wasn't good enough, and that if I ate in a certain restrictive way, that I would lose weight actively, which, hello, that's a diet. And that's okay. And I want to say up front, like, if you're watching this and you're someone who is actively trying to lose weight or is dieting, like, that's okay. I'm not about demonizing that. I can be the kind of person that can get excited about new information and definitely come off that way. And I'm always trying to learn to like reposition myself so I'm not coming off as this extremist who's like, here's all the cool shit I learned and now you should do it too. But what I'm learning for myself is that there isn't a healthy way to shrink my body. Data is showing that people who lose weight don't keep it off. And if they do, it's not long term. And often people end up rebounding and gaining back all the weight and then some. So a while back, I decided, like, I'm done. I'm fucking done hating myself. I'm done hating my body. I'm done because this stuff is so arbitrary. Like, it was put on me. We don't come into this world hating our bodies and thinking that there's something wrong with it. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that was going on with my body was happening because of other different... This is a big topic and I'm struggling to fit it into this one video. And if you want to know more, maybe I'll go into this more for June's theme. I haven't decided what June's theme is. Pop a comment in down below if you have a preference, if you think that would be interesting, if you'd like to hear me talk more about it. I can pull together some more coherent thoughts around this. Just long story short, I said enough. And I found some really great teachers online and people who have been doing this work a lot longer than I have, who helped me like get some footing in this area and just decide I'm not dieting anymore. And I want to learn how to love my body. And I want to learn how to feed and nourish myself in a way that doesn't feel like war. And I don't want to restrict food. And I want to have a healthy relationship with all kinds of foods. And By the way, I can give you some amazing resources. I'm going to do that at the end of this video, to go to experts who are talking very much more articulately and intelligently about this stuff than I can. But I decided for me, for my mental health, for my overall health on all levels, that I'm not fucking dieting anymore. And part of that was getting rid of the scale. Because when I came to this decision, I had been on a pretty restrictive, disordered eating, binge restrict cycle. I had dieted myself down to one of my lowest weights, and then I was still struggling with overeating and like just unhealthy binge eating and stuff. So I was done. I was tired of it. And it was suggested that I throw out my scale and don't weigh myself. Because why would I? Like, a lot of these people that I respect and admire were saying, like, why should a number on a scale determine your value or your worth or how you're going to feel that day? And there's a lot of stuff to learn about. And there's a lot of people get all worried, like, well, if I'm a certain weight, that means I'm unhealthy. That's not true. Go learn more about that if you're interested, because I'm not the one to try to teach all that here or now. But I realized, like, I didn't have to keep weighing myself to decide if I was healthy or not. Like, there were other ways for me to choose to be healthy if that was a priority, and all that good stuff. So I got rid of my scale, and my boyfriend has a scale, and I was tempted to use it, but I kept with my commitment. Like, I don't need to weigh myself. I'm not going to go down that road. And I knew that part of letting go of the restrictive eating, that so I'm on the intuitive eating journey now. And so there's kind of like a rebalancing period where I'm kind of eating all the things at first, because I had been restricting for so long, and learning my relationship with different kinds of foods, and my weight has gone up. And part of that was like riding that wave of like learning how to be comfortable with that, and dealing with my own internalized fat phobia, and just sort of letting my body like do what it needed to do and be where it's going to be, and see how it's going to settle, and try not to hate myself in the process or be afraid of like being a certain size, because that's oppressive. And there's just so many politics around this, and why it was problematic for me to even be afraid of getting fat and all this stuff. So I've been working on that, and it's heavy duty, big time internal work, like big paradigm shifts, like learning where I'd internalized all this oppression and like trying to uproot that. And it feels gross. It's like a cleanse, right? Like, and I couldn't believe so much of this was in me. And it's just been a really rough journey, and also very liberating and good. And there's been a lot of great moments. So anyways, I'm going through all that. And then today, for some fucking reason, well, I know why. It's because I've been watching myself in the mirror, and I've been having a problem with it lately. And I've kind of shared briefly about this. Like, today was a rough body image day. And that's tied to that my body is growing, and that's been kind of uncomfortable for me. And again, that is internalized fat phobia, because I can do all the things. I feel healthier than ever. I'm riding my bike. I'm moving my body. And again, this isn't like a judgment thing. Like, you need to be able to do these things to be a good person. But for me, like I always said, well, it doesn't really matter what size I am, as long as the main measure of whatever for me is that I feel good and that I can do the things I want to do. But anyways, I was getting shady in my mind. Like, I was starting to get really critical and really judgmental, and I was really struggling to like myself the way that I looked. And yeah, for today, for some reason, I just thought, let's just step on that scale. And it was so funny. I was telling my boyfriend, it felt like, I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and I hear a lot of stories about people who relapse on those substances. And I felt like this was a relapse, only like with the weight thing. Because I was very like, oh, you could do it. It was like there was a voice in my head that was like, yeah, how people who relapse might have that voice that's like, just have a drink, what can it hurt? Or you're not really an alcoholic. And that's the voice I look out for in my recovery program. But with the weight thing, I guess I need to be just as diligent, because it was like, just step on it, just see, it won't matter, you'll be okay. Like, you've healed enough that no matter what the number is, like you're woke, like it doesn't matter. I don't know what the fuck I was telling myself. But I was not ready and not totally healed, and it threw me into a fucking shit show. So for one thing, the number was high, like higher than I expected. And then I just realized, like, I still have all this internalized garbage that throws up this old thinking in my brain that says that's a problem. Like, that number is a problem, you're a problem, your weight is a problem, blah, blah, blah. So I stood there just trying to like be cool with the number. Like, it was just information. I'm not going to have an emotional response to this at all. And I just sort of stood there looking at the number, just sort of being like, okay. And then I kind of went about my business for a bit. And then I went downstairs and told my boyfriend, I was like, I weighed myself and I just burst into tears. And to be clear, like, this wasn't me crying because, like, oh, I'm fat or whatever. Like, I don't think there's a problem with anyone's body size. And at the same time, I've been raised and conditioned in a world that has told me since I was born that my body is a problem if it's over a certain size. And so I'm experiencing all this cognitive dissonance around, like, what does it mean when I'm creeping into that area that's everyone's saying that I'm unacceptable if I'm in that area? I'm getting emotional thinking about it now. Like, I want this out of me, right? Like, ideally, I would just be whatever, like, I'm this size and I fucking love myself and fuck you if you don't like it, like, maybe that's the goal, but right now I'm just still in it. And so I just wanted to share with you that seeing that number on the scale today felt a bit like a regression, and especially the thoughts that it brought up that was like, alert, it's a problem and you need to diet and you need to do this. And I just sort of wanted to confess that and confide that, and like, if anyone else is on this part of that journey, I'm there with you. I was scared to share about this because, like I said, I don't feel like an expert and I don't have it all figured out yet. And I don't know that I have anything helpful to say. Other than that, it's tough, but I also am very committed to not dieting about it. And I'd rather do this hard work of, like, getting that shit out of my mind and healing my relationship with myself and my body, and doing the radical work of, like, not letting that paradigm dictate how I treat myself and how I feed myself. Because it's arbitrary and it's garbage. And like I said, I didn't come into this world hating my body, and there was no right, perfect size that I should be other than just what naturally I am, like, there's nothing wrong with me except that, like, other people were profiting off of me deciding that there was. And I feel so inarticulate around this right now, but there was a quote and I can't remember who said it, and I promise I'll figure out who did, and, like, or if you know, put it in the comments. It's a woman, and she was basically talking about how, it's something about how, like, we are contributing to our own oppression by worrying about how much we weigh and what size we are and what we look like, and being afraid of aging and all this stuff, because it's just such an easy way to keep us down. Like, if we think about how much brain power and energy and emotion and whatever goes into us being small, literally trying to be smaller, we keep ourselves small that way too. And do you think that you can go run a corporation when you're worried that you're too fat? Do you think you're going to go speak on stages and tell the world what you think if you're worried that you're too fat? Like, I'm done with that shit. So I just wanted to, like, recommit and say that, like, I might be still struggling with the number on the scale. By the way, I'm not fucking doing that anymore. And I might still struggle with my body image and, like, how big I am or whatever. But I am committed to, like, healing that at the root. And I know that dieting is not the answer. And in fact, if I gave in to that urge to diet, I would be just like, they win. Like, they out there with the capital the T, who set up the structure that said we're not good enough and that we have to always be doing something to be smaller, to be better, to be prettier, to be whatever. I'm taking a stand. Like, this is the harder path. This is the narrower way. But I'm fucking doing it. So, who's with me? Thanks for putting up with that. I'll have a new theme for June. And like I said, throw it in the comments if you'd be interested to hear more about this kind of stuff. Oh, and resources. Okay, one of my favorites is Fierce Fatty. Her name is Victoria Welsby, and she's all over the internet as fiercefatty.com. She has a great podcast that has helped me so much. I love her, and I laugh when I hear her, and she's great. The other one is Christie Harrison. She's a registered dietitian, and she's an anti-diet activist, and just really articulate, really educated around food and the myths around fat stigma and how this all started. Like, she just wrote a book that I haven't read yet, but I've been hearing a lot about, and it's just like the how this is oppressive for all bodies, and like, she's really good at picking that apart and blowing it up, and like, in a very kind and compassionate, nurturing way, and talking about healing eating disorders and stuff like that. Those are the two that come to mind. I have been listening to other people in that community, but if you just look up intuitive eating, anti-diet, health at every size, the HAES movement, if you're curious about this stuff, there's so much good information and resources and good people out there who are doing the work to support us through this kind of stuff. So thanks for being here. If you're interested in communicating with me or learning how to work with me one-on-one, feel free. Although I feel like a hot mess in this video, that's okay. That's part of my charm, I guess. And that is part of, I guess, how I can help is like, hey, I'm fucking in it. I'm going through it. I'm doing the deal, and I can support you through your deal as well. So you can send me an email at amandagoldmakesart@gmail.com, and I will post that in the comments below as well. So thanks. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you Tuesday for your weekly tit, which is Try It Tuesday. All right, bye.